What's up, YouTube, Instagram? We are live. It is August the 10th, coming to you guys with a few questions today. I'm curious to hear your thoughts with the answers, so I hope they go well. Let's jump right into it, actually. Let's just do it. So, okay, first one just came in this morning. How will the cancellation of thousands of units come from developers? How will that affect inventory pricing in the next 12 to 18 months? Do you foresee prices going up again? Great question. So a big thing with a lot of the proposals from all the, when the Liberals were campaigning, all the campaigns, they all had their own housing proposals. A big one for it with the elections was about the supply of properties, the supply of housing. How do we meet the demand? We have heard over and over again that there are a surplus of there goes my dog there. Surplus of immigration coming into the market. So 400,000 people coming to the market every single year for the next 10 years. It's very ambitious. These people all need a place to live, of course. And anytime you're taking away inventory, so anytime the inventory is going down, it's making it more competitive for the properties that are currently on the market. I think right now what we're seeing definitely in the downtown core for sure is an absolute abundance of rentals getting tons of action. So not an abundance of properties, an abundance of action for these rentals. We're seeing everything from 12 months payment up front, multiple bids, way over asking. It is extremely competitive in the rental market. There's a bunch of factors to this. The main driver that I've been seeing lately, especially for the lower price units, and when I say lower priced, we're talking like $2,000 a month for a studio condo that's like 315 square feet. So there's tons of competition out there. Anytime we take away inventory and developers building these projects, it's going to, shrink what's available for the people coming to the market. And when you have different buyers coming in and they don't have anything to buy, then that becomes an issue because foreign buyers, whatever, a lot of that has to do with, even if foreign buyers are buying properties, they will be supplying those properties to the rental market, or they'll be buying those properties to move into them in the future when they're developed. So anytime you take away inventory, especially in the next year or two, when we're seeing an influx of people coming into the country, it's definitely not something that is a good problem to have, that's for sure. Do I think it'll push prices up? I think, yeah, anytime there's not enough supply to meet the demand of people out there will become an issue regardless of interest rates. We have to keep in mind that most people coming into the country now are probably not looking to buy right this second. They're probably looking to rent, so that's obviously boosting up the rental demand, and maybe in the next 1 to 2 years they'll be looking to purchase, and then that'll push them into the buyer pool. And if we're taking inventory away and adding to the buyer pool, it's not always a good recipe, especially for downtown and condos downtown. There's this cancellation of all these units and stuff. A lot of it are properties in the Greater Toronto area. We've also seen 49% increase in development charges coming to developers. I'll have a YouTube video about that coming up shortly. It's not on the entire purchase price, but definitely factors into the development charges, and that's a big cost that are getting added to these properties. Anytime you add costs to developers, it does get passed along to the buyers, so something to always factor in and consider. Is now a good time to buy? Yeah, this question I feel like comes up every single week, but the time is right if the time is right for you. So we've seen rising interest rates. We have seen properties sit on the market for longer than we saw for a long time. We've seen prices definitely chill out since the interest rate rise. I do think that a big portion of, buyers right now that are looking, I think there's a lot of them that are just kind of waiting to see. There's another interest rate hike coming up in the next few weeks, so that could play a factor into pricing. Of course, every time the rates go up, the prices come down. At the same time, to the question, is now a good time to buy? It really depends on your personal situation. I think that if you want to get in before the rate goes up and you can try to lock in something before that rate hike comes, might be an option for you. Of course, the purchase price has to work. I do like the fact that right now you can go out, look at properties, you can take your time, you can make offers with conditions, you can negotiate on price points. It's a much more balanced market to navigate, and I do think that that's always good for buyers. And if the time is right now for you, if you're looking to buy, maybe it's a good opportunity right now. Also, at the same time, if you're debating, re-upping your rent, or you're trying to look for a new property to rent and you're going into ultra competition on the rental side, the price points for rent these days are really getting up there. We're talking, I know the Q2 numbers came out, and I posted a bit on Instagram yesterday, but the Q2 numbers ended at the end of June, and we're now in August. And since then, U of T's opened up. Things have been going nuts. Studios right now, I use $1,950 a month yesterday. To be honest, that's probably closer to $2,000 plus right now. I'm seeing some of the new studios be listed at $2,200. One bedrooms definitely in the $2,400 range plus, and two bedrooms in the $2,800-$2,900 range. Three bedrooms above that. But I did some math, and it was pretty interesting to see these numbers actually. So I took the base rent, so I took $1,950 for a studio. I times it by 12, which is how much it would cost you per year. And then I times that by 25 years, which is what it would be, for example, for a mortgage amortization of 25 years. And that number came out to $585,000. So basically, if you paid rent and the rent didn't increase, and you paid rent for the next 25 years, that would cost you $585,000. The interesting with that is 100% interest. So something to keep in mind, that when you're paying rent, it's all going to interest, it's all going to the landlord. And you're not building any equity on that sense in the real estate world. Now, if you do have a plan and you're investing that money elsewhere, that's great. That's a different conversation, and there's definitely nothing wrong with that, that's for sure. But if you're just renting and then that extra disposable income is not really serving your purpose to kind of get to where you want to be, then maybe that's a different conversation altogether as well with different, I'm a real estate agent. I'm not a financial planner or anything like that, so that's a totally different conversation. But at $585,000, let's say if that's the price for a studio right now, you could buy a lot of property in that size of range. I would say for right now in the market, I saw this morning 23 units listed below $500,000. A lot of them are not collecting offers. A lot of them have been on the market for a little bit of time. They might need a little bit of TLC, and there might be a little bit older buildings, and definitely not huge units, but not bad. Could be a good place to start. And if you're competing from a standpoint of either owning or trying to rent for, it'll be more to own, of course, once you factor in the condo fees and the taxes, but it still gets your foot in the door in the market. And these price points are prices that we did not see at the start of this year. Even at the end of last year, we weren't really seeing too many of them, but definitely not at the start of this year. There weren't that many options. So something to definitely consider. Actually, that kind of our next question filters right into that. So how do first-time buyers get into the market? Well, right now, this is what we've been seeing. We've been seeing these properties now listed under $500,000. Remember, if you're purchasing a property, your down payment up to $500,000 is only 5%. So you can put down 5% up to $500,000. After $500,000, it's the balance of 10% between $500,000 and whatever the purchase price is. But up to $500,000 is 5% down. So at $500,000, you're talking $25,000 as a down payment. Of course, it's not a insignificant amount of money, but it's not 20% down, which could be $80,000. Big difference. So something to think about right there. Great opportunity to get into the market if you are a first-time buyer and looking to get your foot in the door to own property downtown. These price points are price points that we haven't seen in a little while. The interest rates have definitely pushed pricing into that level, and we will see in the future how these properties hang. The one thing to keep in mind is when rates go up and prices drop, this is typically a great opportunity for investors to jump into the market. And I think we're going to start seeing that a little bit more as we go along here. I do think, though, investors, if they're sitting with cash, they're probably waiting till the next hike to kind of wait and see if that affects prices a little bit more. And then we're entering the fall market, and we're going to see how things play out at that point. We don't know. No one has a crystal ball. No one's going to know exactly what's going to happen. I am anticipating a pretty decent fall market. I think that there's a lot of buyers kind of waiting in the sidelines, waiting to see where prices end up. And if they could save a little bit more on the purchase price, even though their monthly goes up, they might be open to that. Just remember, though, as interest rates go up and your purchase price comes down, you are still paying more to interest over that term of the mortgage. So something to think about, lots to think about. Last question here. How does... I think the question is, how does playing pro hockey relate to real estate? Two totally different professions, that's for sure. I would say, there's actually a lot of good lessons that you do learn from professional hockey, professional sports for that matter, or any high level sports. I think that a lot of the things that are important when you are an athlete and you do kind of go along the way is it's the discipline to do the stuff that you have to do to be at your best. And I think that when you learn that and you stick with that, and then being in real estate, for example, or any profession really, to be honest with you, especially as I own my own business as a realtor. So I think when you're in a profession where you're self-employed and you own your own business, the work that you put in behind the scenes that nobody sees on a day-to-day basis is the key. And it's the consistency of finding ways to bring it, even when you don't feel like bringing it. I think the word motivation gets thrown around way too much. It's like, I have to be motivated. You know what? Honestly, like, doing paperwork is not the most motivating thing in the world. But I'll tell you this, it's necessary for to do the work. You have to do the work. And I think that that's a lesson that I learned from pro sports, is that you have to just find ways to keep bringing it on a day-to-day basis. Even when you play pro sports, like, you have to remember it is a job. So, there are days where practicing might not be that exciting. And yes, it sounds weird to play a game, and like, it's obviously, I was grateful to play a game for a profession, but it's not always super fun and glory, and it's not always super exciting to go on the ice and practice, even though it is fun. Don't get me wrong, there's an element of fun there, but trust me, there are days where it's like anything, when it's your job and you're actually doing it as a job, you're not just going to like pick up with your buddies and have beers along the way or whatever, if that's what men's league is. I don't even know. But, it is your job. So you have to think of it as your job. Not everybody, even if you love your job, you might not love showing up to work every single day. There are days where, it is tough to get going. And that's where I think just the discipline to find ways to bring it and to be very organized and to just kind of keep rolling. No matter what, just keep rolling. And keep pushing that needle forward, I think is really important. Definitely a lesson I learned. The other lessons, I think, is just there's tons of them, but the ups and downs and the wins and losses that you do learn playing sports, especially like as a goalie, you feel it. You feel the ups and downs. I don't know, maybe I wouldn't say maybe more, but you definitely feel it. So I think when you have those ups and downs and you know how to kind of navigate through them and again find ways to bring it the next day and stick to the work and really enjoy, like, find ways to enjoy the work even when it's not, I don't know, but for lack of a better term, even though it's not sexy, finding ways to enjoy the work and to find ways to work every day, bring your best is huge. So that's about it. Those are questions for the week. Always send them in. Like I get a few of them every week, or there's a couple that I filter out. Maybe if they're not too relevant to real estate or even to like hockey. I don't mind answering questions about hockey sometimes, but yeah. enjoy your week. It is hot out there. Go have a great time outside. Keep enjoying this weather because before we know it, it'll be freezing. So that's your Wednesday live Q&A. Have an awesome day. Have an awesome week.